Welcome to Clotheslines and Headlines 2.0, episode 19. Guys, we're almost at 20. We're almost legal. Rocco, you can buy cigarettes. I'm sure you've been doing that for a long time. But anyways, how is it going, Rocco? What's up, buddy?
Great. Hey, 19, like the classic Steely Dan song. It's good, man. I'm excited to talk some post-chamber.
Yeah, okay. That's electric. And Rossi, what kind of WrestleMania 19
Woogie,
fact
woogie,
you
woogie,
Are you
woogie.
gonna get blood? You should have rosed up on the camera like the bloody Vince and
Only thing I could think of is that was the WrestleMania that Limp Bizkit performed at. And they did a song called "Crack Addict" that was never
God
even.
Damn it! I fucked that up. I should have went with Crack Addict and Rocco. Let's redo it. Let's not.
I'm addicted to cracking skulls. That is true.
Yes,
because I'm an addict.
When punk
anyways,
starts static.
Rocco, you brought up the chamber. Let's just start hard.
Hard.
Chamber
hot.
and hard kind of go hand in hand.
HOT. We're starting hot here, and we're coming out of this, and the main event. Let's just start with the main event. I figure we bring in a few NoSo members and maybe a guest or two outside the NoSo, a little younger demo to kind of bring in the YouTube numbers, and my personal buddy, friend's buddy, and see what he thinks of it. He's back in the wrestling game, so let's get a 17-year-old's perspective on this. But first, let's bring in our boy Logan. Now, Logan, let's just start hard and talk Sami Zayn. Plain simple. We'll get into the nuts and the bolts of the match. Was it the right move to have Sami lose? What do you think, Logan?
Ultimately, yes. I don't agree with how they went about it. I would have probably done it a little differently. But I do think they needed to build to Cody and Roman at WrestleMania. The moment would have been awesome. I personally would have loved to have seen it, but I think ultimately, business wise, I think they probably made the right decision. But I would have gone about it a different way.
It's just hard, right? It's like the atmosphere was unbelievable. The match was solid. It was wrestled well. It was structured well, and for the most part, a little wonky at the end, but just what a moment, like I would give up either Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble just to flop that crowd, you know what I mean? And just to kind of jump in there and experience that. They haven't had a pay-per-view in years, and they were ready for Sami. Long term, is he the guy to go with? I don't know, but I'm not flipping. I'm not doing a Dusty's finish, and I'm not flipping a 900 plus going on 1,000-day reign just to have a moment. Is there any way Sami can come out of this as a bigger star, or has he peaked?
I mean, I think he is definitely a bigger star, but the peak is an interesting way to put it. I mean, I do think he should have won. I think that the story was there, and it should be there. You could do other things post this to get you to Mania. I mean, fuck, man. Give him the title, have him win it the day before, have Roman win it back Friday SmackDown. Any crazy shit you could think of that sometimes you go, I mean, fuck, man. Imagine the rating that would draw a Roman Sami match, and ratings are a big thing right now. This is sweeps month as well, so ratings are huge. I don't know, something like that. But man, to me, it's the story is not. It's not the story was there, man. You had Mania to Mania, from fucking Jackass to fucking the Mania main event. That was what I was thinking. But then you have this crazy crowd, man. I would just pull the trigger because it was so fucking cool. It was just so cool. And like you said, though, the match was a little over the limit 97, little ECW. There was a lot of shit going on at the end. You had chairs and multiple refs and dudes, Usos running there and there. But the masterfully worked. Like, just any match that is 5 minutes and not even touching, those guys are just fucking there. They're never. That's the pinnacle of what they could do together in a match.
Now, just to kind of, the only thing that bothered me is like, all right, we had the 2 ref bumps, right? Why is the ref getting up? Why can't we just have another one run in? That was the one that kind of, the little detail that was like, all right, so now he's up. He should be, dead. Just have him another one run down, and that kind of corrects that issue. But I liked what they did with Jay. I liked that he came in. I liked that he was very conflicted, that he was just like, nah, man, this is my first time seeing you in a month, and we're kind of in the same scenario. This is why I ultimately have beef with you. This is ultimately why we're going to collide, just the way that you do things. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then open, but is he going to fall in line? We don't know, because Sami jumped in and Roman moved and spared him. So that adds to that dynamic. But it wasn't about the Sami part of it. Rossi, would you agree with this? Was the moment, was the realization of coming to the show and making it there and being presented as that big star. And he leveled up regardless of the loss. I could have took it, but I'm glad they didn't just because of for the Roman of it all. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts here is that Sami was you were kind of in a dangerous spot with him, that Cody is so over everywhere. Like house show business is up when Roman's not even on it. Cody's doing numbers, like merch is through the roof. I think he's the right guy to come out of Mania with the title. And yeah, with Sami and Cody been a really cool match. Yeah. But I mean, it'll feel bigger if Cody's the one that dethrones Roman, right? And my thought with Zayn is that he could very easily have turned into just modern times. He could have turned into Kofi Kingston after that title run. The crowd really wasn't fully behind Kofi once the chase was over. And the same thing happened with Big E too. The chase was the prize. And then once the chase is over, it's like they're moving on to something else. And that's where I really liked how they have kept the KO stuff as a cliffhanger. And they didn't just bring them together, have them hug in Montreal, because we all kind of thought that was what was going to happen, right? And even during the end of the show, when KO was at the end of the ramp and you kept looking back at him, I had it in the back of my head, oh, he's going to go run in the ring and they're going to hug and everything's going to be kumbaya now. But KO's not doing that. And KO continues to be like the realest dude in the room. He's mad at the fact that he spurned him for Jay. He's mad at the fact that, he wants his help, but Jay should be the one that helps him. I really think that they've done a really good job with that KO piece. And to your point, Ryan, the Jay piece too, by having Sami spear Jay, that's obviously going to lead to them getting split up in there, whatever they were talking about last week, right? So that's going to lead to that tag match. And ultimately, I think that's going to, if you build that up, it's kind of what I said 2 weeks ago. If you build up this tag match the right way, the energy is going to be there for that tag match, the main event, and one of the nights of the show. So I think overall, big picture of Mania, the best thing that you can do is get that tag match to the level that it can main event a Saturday to coincide with Cody and Reigns main eventing on Sunday.
Yeah. Logan, are you good with us not getting to a conclusion and just getting small, minute storyline details? Like, all right, what's Jay doing? A snail's progression there. I want to add this real quick, kind of like what you said, Rossi. I like that Kevin Owens was true to himself, and Sami didn't really necessarily save him in the match. Sami saved him at the Royal Rumble when he was about to get destroyed in front of his family. So when Sami was about to get destroyed in front of his family, that's when Kevin Owens decided to come out. So there's still that inner beef between the two where they need to figure that out before they can come together, like Rossi said. So I'm glad that they didn't give us to that, that night at the Chamber, and they kind of came with us at a snail pace, because overall it's all about WrestleMania and post WrestleMania for all of that too. So Logan, before you jump out of here, buddy, is there anything you want to add to the Sami of it all?
Yeah, I like that they're kind of playing out the KO and Sami thing, because like they've been at odds this whole time when Sami was in the bloodline. So it's good to see that KO's going to have to, or he's going to have to build that trust back with KO a little bit. I might have would have pulled the trigger with the whole Jay thing at Elimination Chamber. I don't want it to like play out too much longer. I want it to, have its way and, just Jay turn or do whatever he's going to do and set up the tag match that we're obviously going to get. Best case scenario, I would have loved to have seen maybe Sami win one title, Cody win the other, but obviously that's probably not going to happen at this point. But that tag match could be great if it's built correctly, kind of like Rossi said. It could be a big time match. It definitely could main event one of the shows, and I think it could be a real banger and could be remembered for years to come.
Yeah, there really does need to be a lot of stuff between Sami and Owens though, because like he's coming to Owens now, like, dude, like, you fucking turned on your friend. You fucked over all the other guys. Like, he's coming to Owens because there's no one else. He fucking pissed off every other good guy in the roster. So now he's coming for help and he expects it. And it's like, no, dude, like, like, why would I help you? You were my best friend and you like rejected me and you went to those guys. Now those guys don't want you. So you're coming back to me now. And this is a major flaw to me in some of the Sami stuff is that he's been wavering. Like Owens has been the same dude always. Reigns was the same dude. Sami was the guy that would cause chaos in everyone's fucking lives because he wanted to be with the bloodline. He fucked up Jay's life. He fucked up Jimmy's life. He fucked up Roman's shit. Put Heyman in a neck brace and fucked up Owens. Like he really has a lot of explaining to do. And that would be the best part of this story would be to have him actually say, like he said, I'm sorry real quick. But like for what? You're saying sorry because you want this dude to get your back. It's kind of like when you get caught by your parents and you apologize so you don't get punished. Like I think there needs to be a lot of stuff there that there's a lot of room for that to happen. So yeah, definitely don't want them to just come out and start hugging and knocking over shit in my house if they're going to do that. And
exactly.
Yeah, so don't do that either. But yeah, they need to. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen before. If I was Owens, before I'd be like, yeah, dude, let's hang out.
And I'm kind of glad we didn't get it all in one night, and we're going to kind of get it there. But Logan, thanks, buddy. All right, buddy. We'll have you back sooner rather than later, hopefully.
Thank you, guys.
Later, dude. Stop knocking shit over at my house.
All right, we got a heavy hitter. First time on the NoSo, first time ever on a podcast or YouTube. My former football player, Mikey Jr. in high school, that is. Mikey Gregoire, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
All right, so Mikey, this is Rocco, and this is Rossi, my two good friends. We are here talking some wrestling. The subject of it all is Sami Zayn. Why don't you just give us a little thoughts? Where are you at? We'll ask you some questions afterwards, but Sami Zayn, should he have beaten Roman Reigns Saturday night at the Elimination Chamber?
So, I don't think so.
No.
I don't know if Sami. I think the big thing coming out of Elimination Chamber is like the storyline was great, but I think the big thing is that ending with KO and Sami. I think that's really the tag team match. I've always had my head wrapped around that ever since Sami was like the honorary member of the bloodline. I never could see it just being Sami being the one taking down Roman Reigns. I always felt like, Sami's a big star, but I feel like there was going to be someone bigger than Sami. But I think it's always been like KO and Sami, like they always say, their careers have been wrapped around each other for 20 years now. So now I just think it's just going to be Sami and KO, but I don't think Sami was the guy to take down Roman.
Okay. Now, my next question for you is Cody Rhodes that guy? Let's kind of jump into the Cody of it all. Is Cody the guy to do it? At WrestleMania, it's going to be around 965, 50 days around, we'll call it about that. Do you risk it all on Sami? On Cody? Do you risk all of that equity and all of that on Cody Rhodes? Do you not know yet? I'll give you a wild card out. What do you think, buddy?
I'd say I don't know yet because it all depends on how well they build up the story to Roman and Cody for me.
Okay.
What Paul Heyman and Roman, or Paul Heyman and Cody, their promos have been awesome the past 2 weeks. And I just think if they can build it up to sure, Cody's the prodigal son, he's the one to come back and everything, but he came in, my only thing is he came in at 30 at Royal Rumble and he was kind of giving it. It was so very obvious. So it all depends, if they want to really hand the company over to Cody and how well they can build up the story to Roman and Cody and how well they can work together. But I think he has the potential to take down Roman for sure.
All right. So if your interest level in Sami and KO were at a 10, where are you at with Sami if your interest level for Roman and Sami was a 10, where are you at for Roman and Cody right now out of 10?
Right now, I'm at a 7, just because they haven't really met each other yet. That's the thing, is you've had Paul and Cody cut these awesome segments together, but you haven't seen Roman and Cody. Those are the two guys. Cody's not facing Paul Heyman, he's facing Roman Reigns. Okay. So I want to see those two together and see what they can do in a promo or in a segment where they meet face to face. And if I'm really intrigued by it, then my number could definitely climb up the ladder for sure.
Okay. All right, Mikey. Who's your current favorite wrestler?
Kevin Owens.
Okay. How long has he been your favorite wrestler?
Since 5th grade. Ever since he did the Open Challenge, John Cena U.S. Open Challenge.
Okay. All right. Either one of you guys got a question for the big dog over here?
Yeah. What's the the oldest memory you have as a wrestling fan? Like I don't know how old you would have been to remember that, but what's like the wrestling moment that you go back and that's like the moment that really got you hooked on it?
Maybe the HBK Undertaker streak versus career match. I think that was like my biggest like memorable thing from my childhood growing up.
So that's 2010. You were born in what, 05? So you're 5. You're like 5 or 6 years old right there?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool that you can, like, you're not old enough to, you're young enough to remember that. All right, Rocco, you got anything for the youth? What do you got for the youth?
That's funny because WrestleMania 1, I was around the same age. So it kind of shows you that, but that shows you that like a big thing like WrestleMania 1, like it hooked me then. It's been a long ass time since then. I'll have one question: is who's the most annoying wrestler and why is it Seth Rollins? I set you up for that one, but no, man.
I've been with the guys. He loves Seth Rollins.
I do like Rollins. He's not, in my opinion, he's not a wrestler, but I really get annoyed by Heyman.
Oh.
Really get annoyed by Heyman sometimes.
I mean, that's his job, right?
Right.
He's doing his job, but hey, he really gets under my skin sometimes.
All right, Mikey, in 5 years, who's going to be the top guy in the company?
Austin Theory.
All day? A-Town down?
A-Town down.
Okay. I respect that. And who's going to beat Roman?
I don't know. If it's not Cody, I really couldn't name it.
Okay.
I mean, because I don't like all the talks of The Rock. Like, you can't have a part-timer beat a championship reign of that caliber in that long. So I couldn't name anyone else.
All right, buddy. Well, I think you have some homework to do, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, we'll get you back on here. Good job, pal.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
See you, buddy.
All right, later, man.
Yeah.
All right, one last heavy hitter here. Let's add him to the stream. Scott Shifflett, our boy. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Glad to be back. It's been a minute. Nice to see everyone's beautiful face.
Thank you.
What's up, man?
I haven't seen yours in about, 3 weeks?
It's been too long already.
Now, real quick.
He carries a picture of you in his wallet. He told me.
I did.
Yeah. Now, real quick, Scott, how do you feel about that Virginia L last night to BC?
We shouldn't have won. We shouldn't have won to get the Catholics on Ash Wednesday. That's all I'll say.
Oh, okay. That's a good way. That's a good spin zone right there. Good spin zone on that one. So, it's kind of all. Hey, stay with us. We shouldn't have get the Huskies Ash Wednesday. The Huskies.
Yeah. See, it's just absurd.
Yeah, that's just what it is. It's just what
Lions Den, baby. You walk into the Lions Den.
But also, I'll take a loss in February and not a loss in March. So I'm perfectly okay with that.
Good shit. All right, Schiff. Where you at with all this? Was it the right move to put Sami? You've kind of sat back. We got into the Sami of it with Logan. We got a perspective from a junior in high school, and then we got into the Cody of it all. Where are you at right now? Let's put a ball on this with you.
First off, hearing that makes me feel extremely old when he's
it's interesting to get out here and see what the young guys are thinking.
No, I'm glad that the younger generation like wrestling, and it's not just us old people. So I think they made the right decision. It was going to be rough, but a lot of people, you don't want to cheapen the 900 days with him winning it, on day 901 and him losing it like 3 weeks from now. Because you still want the Cody versus Roman thing. This isn't like WrestleMania 30 where Batista won and the whole crowd was chanting for Bryan. Cody has his fans too, where I remember when Batista won, they were booing him when he was pointing at the sign. I think the only one that was cheering was Cowboy. So you can't have that, and it'd be different if back when I'm an Edge fan, but he has like 15 reigns when he would win, and then 3 weeks later or a month later he would lose, then win it back 6 days later when they were hot shotting the titles, playing hot potato with it. So it's okay with me with him losing. It sucks. I do agree with Logan. I wish they would have done the Jay thing at the pay-per-view. Have Jay inadvertently cost it. Like maybe he was going to hit Roman with the chair. Roman ducks, they don't do like the chair to the face anymore, but do something like Sami gets like Roman pulls him and he like takes a shot in the back or something. That's how Roman wins. But with Rocco saying, that, we're getting like it'll probably be like we're 6 weeks out. We'll probably get like a week with 3 weeks left. That's when the Jay and Sami thing will blow up, and then like Sami will be like, I need my brother, I need my best friend. That's when he gets Owens. I'm glad they didn't do it Monday, even though the fan in me would have loved it. You still, like you said, you still got 6 weeks, and I'm okay with it. And Triple H seems to be more of like an NWA storyteller, where it's bit by bit increments and not like old school NWA, not the new stuff, but bit by bit increments, and that's what we're going for here.
Yeah, I like the slow build personally. We got plenty of time, and I think this is going to be a beautiful video at the end of it all to kind of just go back and be like, wow, they did this. They laid they laid Easter eggs here and everything laid out perfectly. And I don't want to rush it. I want this to be the best story of the last 10, 15 years, whatever. Like it has the potential to be. So I'm not mad of it all. I like the snail pace, like I mentioned earlier. But
do you guys think it's time for, or not time, but Roman having feuds without the title? Since I think we get too caught up on the 900. That whatever, he's at 900 now. I'm not really that worried about when he would lose it. Used to always be more, Flair had 17 reigns or whatever, like having a lot of reigns used to be a thing. But like Roman having feuds without the title now, a feud with Jay could be pretty goddamn epic because it's like a callback. So it would be interesting. And so that even if he did lose to Sami and him having a feud with Jay, I know it's not the same thing, but I don't know. I think it's interesting to think of a way that he can have big epic feuds without the title being a major thing.
Well, I think in the future there, but I think this kind of solidify where we're at for a period in time, to solidify Triple H as the new era, to close Vince's era. I think 1,000 is important. I think Pedro after that is important, just to kind of solidify yourself as the fourth most longest reigning WWE champion or whatever champion of all time. I think that would put a real not an asterisk, a bow on this era. And I think that's something that Triple H will want to do. I think that's something that Vince will want to do as a legacy thing, as they kind of share this bloodline storyline. And I think it's big for Roman, to kind of come in for future fuck ups, right? Because Roman was a fuck up for the most part of the last, 4 or 5 years. And to kind of just have him come around and have this epic reign and really solidify himself and solidify this era, I think the numbers are important to it. But once he's past that, I do agree that whoever dethrones him needs to be someone they actually want to go with, someone they want to, because that is a poker chip to make someone in the future, in my opinion.
When does he hit 1,000?
June.
So then it would have to be SummerSlam probably.
And then Pedro, I think, is September.
Like I like the idea of that, because I think the story, like kind of what I was saying with Sami, like the money's in the chase, and I think Cody can really make money after he wins the title, but to him the entire story is the chase, right? Like, and he keeps saying finish the story. Like Roman winning at Mania like doesn't kill Cody, it just makes people more empathetic with him, right?
Also how he gets there too. And don't forget, they can, once they split these belts up, they can get say they split them up at WrestleMania, they can get real cute and add 365 days to the end of Roman's title reign and being like he was a champion for 900 plus 365, if they really want to get cute and fudge the numbers, because it's 2 separate world championships that he's holding at the same time. So if they want to get cute, but I'd rather have 1,000 just kind of as one as a whole.
And kind of to Rocco's point too, like Roman, I think, is at the point now that he doesn't need the title, right? So even if he loses like this for this reign, yeah, he does. But once he loses it, like he doesn't have to keep chasing the title again. Yeah. He can have the biggest feud in the show, and in the Mania landscape, he can main event one night versus whoever's the title holder has the other night. So it is ultimately going to be. That's my biggest fear, is that even Cody as the champion is still always going to be second fiddle to Roman. But that's kind of how it always was with Cena too, right? So it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So
It's
So
gonna
I'm
it'll
open
it'll
to it.
open up a lot of storytelling if he's not the champ too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always people. He's been so dominant. There's always the question. It's just I don't see Sammy beating Roman. I don't see Sammy as a world champion. We've gotten so used to that. Him and Brock being like these super fucking killers, where the credibility of a lot of dudes being main event guys has been kind of rough, and they've been building up dudes lately. But I think it'll really open up storytelling possibilities once he doesn't have the title anymore. Do you think Cody's gonna get booed at Mania?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Sammy
He
chance
might
during the
get
main event.
20 he might get 20% booed, but I don't like. You
I mean,
guys-
they had to have Owens come out just to make sure the crowd didn't lose their fucking minds at the end of that pay-per-view.
no,
That's how.
that was for the story, man. That was
Yeah, but
Well,
I'm
it
saying, like,
depends,
people are
too.
still gonna. There's still a bunch of people who think he should not have lost. So I think there's gonna be pockets of people that are gonna hold it against
No,
Cody.
there is. It's just how much of those people can they win over, and what percentage is it really? You know what I mean?
And it depends on the story. Like if the tag story gets hot, then people are gonna have that feel good moment with Sammy the night before. And ultimately, that should kind of hold some of that at bay. So I think Cody's in a hot enough spot now that I'm not too worried about that. Like with a stadium of that size, I don't think it would be noticeable enough.
So let's go around the horn. Cody, yes or no, right now? Shifflett,
Yes.
Rossi,
I'd wait. I'd have him lose this and keep the story rolling.
Rocco.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not all in on Cody right now.
But I will say, sorry to cut you off, Ryan. Going back to Rocco's point, I can tell the Usos apart now. Like, that's how much the story has given me. Like,
Yeah.
I know which one's Jimmy and I know which one's Jay.
And more importantly, you know their personalities
Yes.
from each other, not just the one has long hair, one has short hair. You know
Yeah.
that these distinct people and how they would act in situations. Yeah. And they made, like, Jey Uso as a main event dude is a really cool idea to happen, which a lot of people probably didn't think would have happened 2 years ago.
So
I was one of them. I
Yeah.
admit, I was like, what the hell are we doing? And then I was like so sucked in with both of their matches.
Yeah,
So
and just the sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
So if Sammy is at, Sammy was flirting with a 10, but did he have substance to be a 10, for example, right? Did he have enough meat on the bones to withstand being a 10, even though his reactions at a 10, it was Montreal. His build to that moment in that match was a 10. Does he have enough substance as a character right now to be a 10 and win that belt? I don't think so. Let's call it Jey Uso. When they started calling him main event Jey Uso, a fucking month before that, he's doing karaoke shows with fucking Naomi and Natty and Lacey Evans in the pandemic. He wasn't even in the WrestleMania match. His brother Jimmy was, and then he tore his knee and he was off TV forever. And he was literally doing nothing until Roman came back and injected him into this story. And then it just snowballed. Paul Heyman, or storyline wise, Paul Heyman gave him the main event Jey Uso name, just because he was doing Roman's bidding when Roman was away, establishing the head of the table, establishing the role he is I only come around when it's important type of thing. So Jey was very pivotal there, but Jey was like a fucking 2 or a 3 on that pecking order of a 10. So by taking your time now, let's go around the horn. Where is Jey Uso right now out of 10? I explained it. Sammy was flirted with that 10, but he didn't have the substance to be a 10. Where do you think Jey Uso is right now? Rossi?
I'd probably put him at like a 7 because he gets natural crowd reactions.
That was my
yeah, and I don't think that I can really go higher than that yet because the single history isn't really there. It was with Roman, which Roman elevates everybody, right? So that's where, Roman as a storyteller in a match is as good as they can come, and especially when it's something like Jey, like they always had electric matches, but he's a great tag wrestler. Kofi Kingston was a great tag wrestler, right? And then eventually there was a little bit more there. So it can get there for sure. I'm not ruling out Jey as being that guy. I just don't think that, I think that keeping the Usos as a unit long term is still the power move, right?
Scott, where's he at? 7-ish? 8-ish?
No,
9?
I'm gonna go 9.
Okay.
Just
so he's close.
Yeah, he's close because we saw. Me and you were there at the Rumble when he walked out of the ring. People were losing their minds with it, and with all the built-in story, people have equity in him now. They like I said, I know the difference between them. So like we care about them. And when he ran in the ring, Saturday, Saturday Elimination Chamber, we all knew this was going to happen. We've all watched wrestling long enough that something was going to happen, but we still cared. And it's like, when WWE, when wrestling in general is good, it hits all the moments. And that's where he's at right now. I'm interested to see what happens. I hope they capitalize on it. I think we get actually Jay and Roman at SummerSlam.
Okay. Now, Rocco, do you think that Jay Uso has 10 potential? And where would you put him right here?
Yeah, I'm up there with you guys. And I think I'd rather them take a risk on a 9 or a 10 or whatever you're saying than the force feed Roman for fucking 5 years and give us that shit. So to me,
all right, we're playing a fucking game. Just relax. I get it. We get it. We get it. We're playing a game. So what I'm saying is Jay started at a 2. He's worked his way up to, let's call it an 8. Like our median score is around an 8. So Sami reached a 10, but I don't think he had enough substance yet at that moment to withstand the 10. Sami started with the jackass stuff around like a 5. Very entertaining, mid-card guy. They built him up and they created this moment, right? So let Sami work through the KO shit. Let him go through the Uso feud, and maybe he's the guy that we revisit. But regardless, I think that the guy that should beat Roman should be at a 10 and have enough meat on the bones to withstand a 10. And if it could be Sami, it could be Jay. They have a chance to go either way, and they're doing kind of both paths in a way, simultaneously at the same time, and whichever one gets heated up faster or stays hot or has more substance, I think there's a chance to go with him. And then you got Solo, who's lurking, who's like a 5, who came in at a 4, and then he's getting that slow build too. And you got Jimmy, who's just always a solid 6, but he'll blow that 10, if you get what I'm saying, right?
So question for you guys too. If that pay-per-view was not in Canada, if that pay-per-view was in, I don't know, Dallas, Texas,
yep,
do you think that there would have been as many people yearning for a Sami Zayn win?
Maybe now that the middle America you always talk about, Texas, California, whatever, will definitely see him as a bigger star, is kind of what I'm saying too. He's leveled up. But that's what I mean with, he didn't really have the substance to withstand that 10. But now, if you look at the ratings, I'd like to see his ratings patterns now. People can say that he's a ratings draw. Yes, he is because of the metrics. But then again, he's also evolved around Roman, and he's the pillar to all of that Roman and Usos and Bloodline storylines. And is he a rating draw once he goes feuds with Madcap Mouse after this? I'm not sure. Hey,
Madcap's turning heel, so that might be in the cards.
Well, it's interesting because like with DB and Kofi, like you said before, and even like a Ray, like having that dude come up and like that crowd favorite guy, they've always botched the fucking after part.
Well, yes,
because he never wanted to do it. Vince never wanted to put those guys.
Well, Kofi has no substance, is what I'm kind of saying. There was no substance with Kofi. Kofi was just microwaved, and he was cold lasagna in the middle.
I don't know about that. That's that's how you viewed it, but I don't think that's how a giant stadium in WrestleMania seemed.
I also think
that was the moment he won, and then there was 6 months.
Oh, they could write a story like it's like you could write a fucking story for Brock for fucking years, like you can't write a story for Kofi to be a fucking champ.
I think the wrestling
have a character story.
I think the wrestling fan base nowadays is always waiting for the next guy to get their moment, right? So, like, I was in that stadium when Kofi won the title, and I have never really been like a professed Kofi Kingston guy, but that moment I was fucking cheering for him, and I had a great time when he won. And then like 2 months later, when his matches were on, I didn't really give a shit. And that's not even necessarily that I don't like Kofi. I just felt like, all right, he had his moment, and it happened with everybody else too. Like even Danielson, right?
Well, they put him in a feud with Kane where he's running around like a fucking horror movie. Like that's not him.
But if he doesn't get hurt, like I think that it would have been a little not soured on him, but I don't know.
Brian out of the 3, Brian had the best chance, but he got hurt right away.
I think that's more of an indictment on the wrestling fan as a whole, and even look at AEW too. Like a guy like Wardlow goes and gets a title, and is the booking great, but the reactions also fall off after he gets it.
it's kind of the way of wrestling. Like, you want to hunt down that big baby face, and there is definitely a subculture of group of the fan base that wants to see them stay on top. But there's only so many people that can maintain that level of interest for a prolonged period, because then there's always like, oh, they're burying this guy to get to that. It's just the internet of the world fucking everything up.
So anyways, I don't want the bloodline to end. I think we should stay the course because they're building everything up around it. And who knows who they're feuding with next. If they start to dip, then perhaps maybe we'll think about it. But I think it's still growing, and we're getting closer to Mania season. And to put a bow on this, Sami will never have that moment again. If they pulled the trigger, it would have been cool. But I understand why they didn't.
I mean, if he won and then Roman wins it back on like our SmackDown before Mania, I don't see it being. It's not going to lessen a WrestleMania match. I don't think it would lessen a WrestleMania match, and it would get an insane rating on SmackDown, which would be huge for them in terms of like right now when this is like when all the ad rates are being determined in February, it would be huge, and no one would think twice about like it in a year. No one would give a fuck about it if he lost that, and it would be two huge moments instead of waiting for Mania. This whole idea of waiting for these things like makes wrestling really fucking boring. We're like, oh, nothing can happen until Mania. Nothing can happen until this. It just kind of is boring to me. I think it would be really cool to do something that doesn't just rely on a fucking date. It's the same idea of like having a Hell in a Cell at the same time. It's like, it's just not organic.
We'll just agree to disagree because the belt has never been more important than it is now.
Well, it's because there you go. I agree with myself on that one. I choose to agree with me.
That cat agrees with you too. But all right, guys, let's move the rest of this to the podcast. Let's say goodbye. Chef, how'd you do? How'd you enjoy your YouTube as we get out of here?
I had a great time. Thanks for having me. As always, guys, it was nice seeing everyone for a change. I usually just hear everyone's voices. So thank you.
All right. Good shit. All right, guys, we'll see you on the second part after this.
Later.
See you.